A poor orphan becomes the most powerful magician in a fantasy world part 2. We are here with the second part of the story, so let's continue. Elder Ursula forces Rio to explore the community in the morning, and shows him the world tree where the great Dyrus, the spirit of mighty trees, resides. At the gathering of the elders, Saldora introduces Rio to Ursula and Dominic, 2 other elders, and gets him to agree to stay in the village. Following the meeting, Rio hears a woman's voice in the world tree's spirit, Lady Dyrus, who just so happens to appear. Detects a spirit in the shape of a human sleeping inside Rio. Rio is informed by Lady Dyrus about the human-shaped spirit, one of 6 high-class spirits that have been missing since the Divine Demon War, thousands of years ago. Rio is later brought to a home that was given to him and Latifa by Orphea. Sarah informs them of their stay with them in the house after showing them the entire property. Elder Ursula enters while Rio is still perplexed and asks Rio's permission to let Sarah, Alma, and Orpheus stay with them for safety reasons. After that, they lead a full life while staying in the village. Meanwhile, Rio from the Celestial Lion Brigade enters a cave with a lad and takes a large egg. As they return to the straw region of the Beltram Kingdom, dragons pursue them. Rio and Latifa receive the blessing kiss from Lady Dryas on the occasion of the important spirit festival, because they have lived in the community for a year. He was reprimanded by Sarah and Orpheus for avoiding them on the festival night. However, Rio was oblivious of his demeanor, appreciate them for being his friends and keeping him content in the community. After giving the youngster instructions on how to care for the egg, Rio leaves the boy in Griffin, close to the hamlet, and heads off to wait for the dragons that will be returning to retrieve the egg. Latifa insists on going with Rio when he tells her he's leaving the town and eventually storms off in a huff. When every dragon has reached the egg, Rio enters the cave to hunt for any unattended dragon eggs. Demi-humans are observing the boy's existence nearby as he runs on Griffin and is eventually killed when Rio cracks a pill. Dragons seeking their egg enter the forest and are about to assault the village when Rio stops them. Latifa tells Rio about her past existence, in which she was a Japanese citizen who passed away in Japan and was reincarnated here, back in the village house. After greeting everyone, Rio leaves the village on his way to the Yagumo region. Rio has now been in the Yagumo region for 2 weeks, but he hasn't yet discovered any information about his parents. He asks Rory about the local chief when they first meet. She nevertheless brings him to her grandmother Yuba, who seems to be the village's leader. Rio asks her if her parents, Zen and Im, who formerly resided in the area 15 years ago, are still there. Rio reveals herself as Zen's mother and asserts her lineage as his grandma after telling Yuba specifics about his private life. She then takes Rio to the cemetery where his parents are buried, where she tells him that she will reveal everything to him when the time is right. Yuba tells Rio about her 15-year-old cousin Rory, who is also the younger brother's daughter of Zen. Rory is Zen's cousin. He is permitted to linger in the village a bit longer at Rio's request. Rio makes breakfast in the morning and gets to meet Shin, Seo's older brother. Shin continues to be envious of Rio while he continues to assist villages with his magic and intelligence. One day, Gon interrupts Sayo and Rory as they are taking a bath and starts making crude remarks before being stopped by Yuba. When Rory and Sayo are sleeping, Gon goes into Rio's room and starts attacking her. Sayo was a guest at Rory's apartment. However, Rio soon makes an appearance and ends up severely beating Rio. While Sayo and Rio finally have some time to themselves to enjoy Kamaten, Rio, Shin, Sayo, and hunting Master Dola head to the capital of the kingdom of Karasuki. Gok learns about Rio through a letter from Lady Yuba Hate's father, who also explains Rio's parents' past and claims Rio's mother. Zen was a talented spiritual artist and Im's former bodyguard. They were in love. Im was the Karasuki princess. He continues by claiming that Zen and Im left Karasuki because the prince of the kingdom of Rokuran wanted Im for himself. The following morning, Gok takes Rio to see his grandparental King Hamura and Queen Shizuku. Rio learns that Zen's former friend, the adventurer Lucius, murdered Im. On the king's advice, Rio receives training from Goki before going after Lucius to exact his mother's vengeance. When the tour is complete, Rio returns to Yagumo and pays his respects at the graves of his parents, promising to move forward. When Rio and Lady Yuba tell Rory that Rio is a royal descendant, Rory takes the chance to let everyone know that he will be leaving the hamlet after the harvest festival. Everyone is upset about it, especially Sayo, who has started to fall in love with Rio. The harvest festival is finally held after 6 months, and the attendees are Goki, his wife Kyoko, and their daughter Komomo. In order to enjoy himself, Gok has completely given up on formality and engaged in sumo wrestling with the peasants. Rio is approached by Sayo for a private talk, in which she confesses her love for him and asks him to accompany him on his journey. She argues that she has been practicing daily to avoid holding him up, but he apologizes and leaves. The following morning, as Rio gets ready to leave the village, he discovers Sayo waiting to give him farewell. Rio then says goodbye to Lady Yuba and Rory. She found the courage to do so after Gaki gave her motivational advice the day before. After a 2-year hiatus, Rio returns to the demi-human hamlet where the elder, Ladfa, Sarah, Orphew, and Alma greet him. He spent time with demi-people after that. When Ladfa and her friends awaken Rio in the morning, they discover him sleeping with a naked woman, shocking everyone. The stunning woman awakens from her nap and introduces herself to everyone as Rio's spirit. It turns out that the spirit doesn't even remember Rio's name until it strikes a contract with him. She calls Rio Haruko, and at her request, Rio calls her Aishia. The elders of the village are all taken aback by Rio and Aishia's equal elemental magical powers when they pay a visit to Lady Dryas there later. Rio goes back to the makeshift home that Dominic had him construct after the duel. Rio goes on to say that he is leaving for the realm of straw after Latifa, and he reminisces their previous life there. As they are leaving, the elders give him gifts, and Sildra gives him a magic earring that lets him alter the color of his hair. At the Kingdom of Straw, where they hope to travel to Celia, Rio and Aishia have arrived. Later, Rio discovers her getting engaged to Charles in the Royal Kingdom. As he and Aishia begin questioning, Rio is shocked to learn about Charles' Arbor and Professor Celia Claire's wedding. After the Beltram Kingdom is vanquished, he finds out the truth regarding Charles's diplomatic negotiations with the nearby Kingdom of Proxia. Charles sits down with Celia and her father later, but the former is opposed to the couple's marriage and does not trust Charles. Rio meets Celia in her room with the assistance of Aishia. Rio makes her pleased to see her again before their wedding because she loves her, but she deceives Rio into believing that the marriage is going well. The next day, Charles presents Celia's wives to her as she is wearing her wedding dress. Fortunately, Princess Christina of Beltrum interrupts the wives' tormenting of Celia as Charles leaves and forces the women to leave. While Celia is sitting with a troubled heart, Rio is standing among the crowd. As they prepare to meet the rest of the nobles and royals, Rio hurries to save Celia. Rio tackles them and makes an impression of being a one-man army, decimating the elite soldiers and destroying Charles like a torn piece of paper. Rio approaches them, hits Charles in the stomach, knocks him to the ground, and then kidnaps Celia. Using his psychic abilities, he talks to her and instructs her to flee away while acting like a hostage. He gives Aishia Celia, then flees from the oncoming guards. Rio is expected to arrive as Celia and Aishia are waiting outside the city. The ending finishes here when Rio and Celia are going to celebrate the success of the rescue after their reunion, when they notice some massive lines coming up from the ground. It ends here, leaving the viewers to vulnerable curiosity's sharp edge. Please like the video, and I'll see you in the next one.